Hey guys, greetings from Amsterdam. Just wrapped up business in Glasgow. Everything went well. Just dropped off my bags at the airport here in Amsterdam, and I'm going to run on the subway here down to city center and see if I can find a somewhat quiet but well-lit place to talk about genius patterns. Talk to you in a minute.
Are you getting somewhere? Or did you get lost in Amsterdam?
Hey, I don't know if this is going to work or not. All the noise and that bar got real noisy. It's kind of a restaurant slash pub. I'm still on the hunt for a quieter, less obnoxious, as the motorcycles go by, less obnoxious place to try and record some videos about genius patterns. So I'll keep you posted.
All right, so I've given up on trying to find a place in downtown Amsterdam on a Saturday night, stupid me, that was not too crowded and well lit enough, that not noisy enough that I could actually talk about the genius profile. So I've given up on that, back in the hotel room. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way. The genius profile, the reason you need to get it, it's free, remember, is it's going to help you understand your strengths and weaknesses. It's based on 50 years of scientifically validated research started by this guy named Dr. Robert S. Hartman. Triple PhD, scary smart kind of dude. It's the same exact profile that we used in the research study on those 197,000 people. It's the same profile I just finished up using with Tony Robbins on all the people on his new NBC reality show coming out in January called Breakthrough with Tony Robbins. And basically, what it does is Dr. Hartman looked at how we evaluate the world around us. Now, let me explain. Dr. Hartman realized that there were three core dimensions of value, or ways that we can evaluate the world around us. He called the first the systemic, but we're going to use the non-scientific term and call that the head dimension. It's about understanding the strategic planning involved in the world around us, looking at things from problem solving in a conceptual way. He could also understand that there is the hand dimension, what he called the extrinsic. And that's more about understanding the practical reality in front of us, not theoretically in our heads, but what's tangibly in front of us. And finally, we could look at any situation from this third angle or dimension, and that's what he called the intrinsic, but we're going to call it the heart to stay away from the scientific terms. And that's looking at the humanistic aspects of any situation we're involved in, emotional intelligence and empathy. So you've got the head, the hand, and the heart. All right? We're going to each have all three of these inside of us. We've got the ability to view the world from any one of these three angles. You could say that we've got these three voices in our heads talking to us from each of these different angles. The key is we all develop our own unique ratio. Based on the way our minds are wired and how we grew up in our neural networks, we may have a nice equal match, and all three of them are given equal consideration. But you may have somebody who places much more emphasis on the heart, and that's what makes them unique. Their unique perspective is focusing a whole lot more on the humanistic aspect of the situation they're in. Or, let's just use another example, and there's a whole lot of different combinations of this. You could have somebody whose primary focus is from the head dimension. They're always looking at the strategic side. So, there's the head, the hand, and the heart. What I found is it's really helpful in class to look at the three different dimensions as a channel on TV. And you could have the head channel, the hand channel, and the heart channel. Now, let's replace the content of the world we're in, any situation, with a TV show. Okay? We're looking at a situation, but from the heart channel, you'd just be looking at the people involved. All right? From the hand channel, you would only see the physical reality of that environment that you're in. And from the head channel, we'd be thinking more theoretically about it. What happens, though, is we each develop our own unique mix. So let's take a look at a couple of sample patterns. Somebody might develop what we'd call the empathy pattern. And for them, the head and the hand are a little bit fuzzier. They're not developed as well as the heart channel. So our preference in this pattern is to look at the world as far as the people involved in it. What are they thinking? What do they need? We could look at the practical pattern, another example of a type of pattern the genius profile will deliver. And in there, it's the head and the heart that are a little bit fuzzier. They're not quite as clear as the hand channel, and so our primary angle, our primary perspective on any situation is to deal with things from a pragmatic point of view. We don't focus necessarily on the emotional people involved. We don't necessarily focus on the logistics or the strategic aspects. It's all a real hands-on, practical way of looking at it. And then the third and final example we'll use of the type of pattern that the Genius Profile will deliver for you is the director pattern. And in the director pattern, it's the hand channel that's a little bit weaker than the other two. So here you've got two what we call masters. You evaluate the world, if you have the director pattern, from the head and the heart. You tend to see the big strategic picture and then the people that you need to get the results through. You're not so much focused on the detail and the tangible tactical aspects. So those are some combinations of those different ways that those three can combine. Let's talk about self-direction and authenticity for a minute. Self-awareness means understanding that if you have the director pattern, you take the primary focus of the head and the heart. That's how you evaluate the world. The roles and responsibilities and your success must then be aligned with looking at things from a strategic perspective and understanding the emotions and the people involved in that situation. You wouldn't want your responsibilities to be focusing on the hand, for example, if you had the director pattern. That's what authenticity is. Authenticity means I know that I'm aware of the head and the heart, and I know that my roles line up with me needing to understand the strategic aspects and the humanistic aspects. I need to be good at planning and problem solving. I need to be great at emotional intelligence and communicating and getting along with others. And I make sure that my success, if I'm authentic and I have the director pattern, I make sure that my success is not dependent on practical details and organizing minutiae and things like that. So that's where self-awareness and authenticity come in. Now, let's give you some real examples of the type of talents associated with these different patterns. This is just a short list of the 80 different attributes that would be measured in the Genius Profile. You'll get a list of all of them, and it'll help you understand some of these are in your blind spot. The ones that just turned red are ones that for you, these are what you don't want your success to be dependent on. You want to create authenticity. In other words, the natural talents that you have for the white lights here, like strategic planning and persistence and attention to detail, these are the things that you create a role that's dependent on. And you make sure that your success is not dependent on the red things like emotional intelligence or organization of details. What happens most of the time is people identify these weaknesses. Here's the conventional wisdom. Let's identify these red things so we can fix them. But you want to see what the most successful people around us do? Those in the study just removed those things. They just got rid of them. So let's look at a sample Genius Profile and actually see what you'll get when you get your Genius Profile. It's going to give you first your pattern. Okay, it's going to give you the title and the name or number. And so here we're looking at the efficient pattern, which would be looking at the hand and the head and would have a blind spot for the heart. It's going to actually go over those three dimensions for you again, give you some more understanding, a deeper and richer understanding of what the head, the hand, and the heart are all about. Then it's going to present an example of, first off, what some of your strengths are. Okay, the potential strengths, the masters based on, here we've got the efficient pattern, and it's going to talk about the masters in this pattern are the hand and the head, and there's a blind spot for the heart. Because of that, it's going to tell you what the potential strengths are that you need to create success as dependence on. It's going to give you actual attributes, a list of real specific things that you need to focus on increasing your dependence on. But it's also going to flip that coin over and it's going to give you some of the weaknesses as well, things that you need to avoid. It's going to give you a couple of action steps. Okay? When you're performing out there in the world, things that you need to focus on. If these are a master for you, you want to remember to do some of these things, or you want to remember to do some of these things if your hand is the master. But it'll also say if it's not a master, if it's a blind spot for you, if it's that fuzzy TV channel, you need to avoid doing these kind of things. Or if it's the head, you need to avoid doing these kind of things. So that's just a glimpse into what the patterns are going to show you. So in review, let's just remember, self-awareness and authenticity. You see how high they are in the study. The top performers, the people that reach the 5th level of performance, had the absolute highest levels of self-awareness for what their natural talents were, and they were authentic to it. They turned those things red and then got rid of them. They didn't try to fix them. They just removed their dependence on them. So go over to the site, click on the button that says Take the Genius Profile now, learn and start to understand, develop that self-awareness, and develop the ability to be authentic. Now, to really get the authenticity part, don't forget to check out the book, because that's going to tell you how to take the information in the Genius Profile, actually become authentic to it.